why the heck would I play competitive 40K? And if you're into just the hobby or crusade or stuff like that, that's the question we're answering freaking today. Most people, when they hear the word competitive 40K or the term competitive 40K, what they start thinking is they start thinking like about overly serious players. They imagine people trying to win at all costs. They imagine sweaty arguments about rules. Well, there might be a sweaty argument about rules, but typically we let the judges and the TOs handle that. Because these are not the things that competitive play is actually about. What competitive play actually is simply the exercise of making the best possible decisions with limited options. And if you want to improve at Warhammer, and honestly, kind of anything in life, that's exactly what you need to be training. I've heard people comment on things where they've been like, oh, you guys are actually trying to get better at a game. You're working hard at it, nerds. It's like, yeah, but what? Are you trying to get better at the guitar? Nerd. How dare you try to get better at your hobby? It's really a stupid low intelligence comment when I hear people say things like that. Like, yeah, we want to get better at things that we enjoy doing, right? It's really is that simple. Okay, so let's redefine these misconceptions about what competitive play is, and we're gonna set ourselves on the path to some freaking success here. So here's the deal: most player think that competitive play is all about stronger lists, better units, or just more experienced players, but that's all surface level stuff. Because you see, at its core, competitive play is decision making under constraints, which is actually very similar to life, because in life we actually always have to exercise our abilities to make decisions under constraints. Like for example, you got to pay your taxes. You got constraints on you. Good luck getting away with not paying your taxes. Like, you got to figure out what is the best strategy for paying your taxes, or what is the best strategy for having a cohesive home life, knowing that you've got a wife that you need to pay attention to and love, and you've got children that you need to pay attention to and love, and you have the things that you want to do for yourself as well. So this is very, very important. Okay. So in competitive 40K, we're not going to be getting perfect matchups. We're not going to be getting perfect dice. We're not going to be getting perfect positioning or even perfect terrain. What we're getting is we're getting a board state with limited resources. Does that sound familiar? And a series of decisions that we are going to have to make on the table. And now your job as the 40K player or the adult is to maximize what you can do with what you actually have. So here's an action step I'm going to give everyone today. Given in your next game, here's what you're going to do. You're going to ask yourself this exact question. Given this exact situation, what is my best possible decision? Start asking that as you're looking at your board state, and you're going to find tons and tons of options that you have been missing. So let's talk about why competitive 40K is not only going to be accelerating your improvement, it's going to, at 40K, it's actually going to accelerate your improvement in a lot of other aspects of your freaking life as well. So let's just really jump right all into it. So what 40K really trains is it makes you engage with reality. And it's really going to break everything down into three clean pillars. I'm going to break this down into three clean pillars for you so that you can really take away what you're going to be training with competitive 40K and why it's going to be beneficial for you. It's going to force you to learn prioritization. You cannot do everything. Any business owner in the world understands that you actually can't do everything. You have to choose what matters now, what matters later, and what you need to sacrifice to achieve the things that matter, right? So here's your action step when it comes to mastering prioritization in the game. At the start of every turn, you're going to ask yourself three questions. You're going to ask yourself, what do I have to accomplish this turn? What do I want to accomplish this turn? And then lastly, you're going to ask yourself, how do you set yourself up for next turn? If you ask yourself those three questions, your skill at prioritization is going to dramatically improve. Now, the next pillar that we actually learn through or work on through competitive play is it's forcing you to learn adaptation. It's forcing you to learn how to be adaptable, because plans occasionally break. Shockingly, most of you have had this happen in life. Plans you had, they kind of crumbled. Your dice on the table can fail. Your opponent can do something that disrupts you. Competitive play is going to force us to adjust in real time as to what we have to do on the tabletop. So here's an action step for everybody here. When your plan breaks, I immediately want you all to ask yourselves, what is my new best option on the table? And then lastly, our last pillar here is it's going to force clarity under pressure. You don't actually get time to endlessly overthink. Actually, a lot of you might know that occasionally we as adults tend to get inside our own heads, and we can overthink decisions, and this can be a bad thing. Like I've overthought some things that's kind of screwed me up before, and I'm sure it's happened to all of you guys too. So in 40K, you don't get time to overthink endlessly when we're playing competitively. You have to learn how to process quickly. You got to learn how to decide clearly and execute confidently. So what I recommend everyone does is I recommend everyone, even if you're playing casually in the garage or whatever, put a clock on the table. Clock yourself when you play. You don't have to even use like a death clock, like you run out of time, we don't get to play anymore. But just look at how much time you're spending just saying, I promise you it's going to be a bunch. I have done dozens and dozens of coaching matches at this point. And when I put a clock on the table, I just let my opponent see, or my client see, how long they're spending making decisions. People will literally waste 30 minutes a game just going, and that doesn't help them at all because their decisions don't change during the time that they're saying, So I recommend you just limit yourself to 30 seconds for one key decision in your next game. Clocks can help with that. If you are a person and you're playing against an opponent who doesn't want to use a clock, it's really as simple as this. Just say, hey, listen, bro, I am learning to work on my time because I'm too slow. So I'm going to put a clock down. I'm going to use it for my training. If you want to use it, feel free. You don't have to. I'm using it for my training. So this is a big benefit that you get from competitive play because, well, clocks are required for that, and it will teach you to process quickly, decide clearly, and execute confidently. That's a massive, massive deal. All right, now let's talk about another really important aspect of competitive 40K, losing. And it turns out losing's pretty dang important. Okay, this is critical. Players avoid competitive play because they fear losing. Now, not everyone, but a lot of people. Here's how I want you to reframe this. Losing is actually the fastest way to identify where your decision-making skills break down. Losses are going to show you where you misprioritized, where you misunderstood the board state, where your plan failed. So after your next loss, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down one bad decision you made on the table, and then just write down what would have been a better alternative. If you start doing this in every single one of your games, your play skill is going to skyrocket. Now, I want to take a little bit of a step back here, and I want to kind of define some things, or identify, rather, some things that competitive play really is not. Okay? Competitive play does not mean toxic. Dude, I probably give more takebacks in competitive play than most casual players do in casual play. Competitive play does not mean that you're screaming at each other about rules. It doesn't mean that you're trying to gotcha about opponents. As a matter of fact, practically every single game I've ever played at a tournament has been incredibly loving and friendly, and people are extremely clear and open about the rules that their army has. Now, I'm not saying none of you have ever had a bad experience. I've had a bad experience. I'm sure you guys have had a bad experience as well. But we are trying to learn how to play based off of decisions, not off of gotchas. And honestly, we're also playing competitive because it's freaking fun. Warhammer's fun. We love enjoying our hobby, but we also love improving at our hobby. You would never play a guitar and hope you never get better. No, like you would actually practice your chords to become a better guitar player. It's really that simple. So here's the deal. You can pursue excellence while respecting the game and your opponent. And so here's the real benefit. Competitive play is not about proving that you're better than your opponent. It's about becoming better. It develops inside of you the core things that make you a better human. It develops discipline. It develops emotional control. Because, yeah, sometimes bad things happen on the table, and you got to learn how to control your freaking emotions. It develops strategic thinking in your brain, and it really develops accountability. Did you lose because you rolled snake eyes into snake eyes, or did you lose because you sloppily moved up the board and gave yourself a 3-inch charge instead of a 2-inch charge, which you would have made? Guys, these skills extend beyond the game, and it's really important that we recognize them. That's right? Okay. So, guys, Warhammer 40,000 is a training ground. It's not just for movement and list building, but it's for decision making under pressure. Now, if you want to improve at Warhammer, you need to put yourself in situations where your decisions actually freaking matter, where your options are limited, where your mistakes are exposed, because that's where your growth is going to happen. I'm going to leave you with this quote here, okay? It's not when things go perfectly, but when you're forced to make the best decisions with what you have. There it is, guys. That's my video for today. That's my pitch to you for why competitive play is freaking awesome and why I recommend everyone out there plays it. And these are some super adorable otters that I hope you all enjoyed. So with that, I'm going to take off and I'll see you in the next one. Crump on. Bye-bye.